Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about how karma works and how people's choices and decisions and incapacity to see certain elements of life that are needed to balance life can lead to the society that we have where people steal, people gamble, people have all the different sins that the Bible talks about, like the sins of the flesh or gluttony and whatever different religions talk about are the sins. There's a reason why those sins still persist and exist, and not just exist but continue existing in very gruesome manner on earth. And if humans really want to understand, or when humans question why does this still exist on earth, the answer is what I'm trying to get towards via this video that I'm making. Because while humans ask the question, while humans get the answer to, many humans live in great denial and they don't want to listen to anything that seems negative or criticizing to them, and because of which these evils continue persisting. Because the fastest way to continue promoting evil is to live in denial of evil. And when Gandhiji said, see no evil, do no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil, he said three things. Gandhiji's three monkeys: one monkey who doesn't speak anything evil, one monkey who doesn't hear anything evil, and a third one who doesn't see anything evil. But while that seems like a very great policy to hold in life, that is the very thing that causes evil to continue existing on earth. I'm going to present two videos here. The first video talks about a boy who one day sees his younger brother stealing medication pain patches from his mother. And now some of these medications that are pain medication patches, these can be really expensive, and off market there is a whole black market of drugs also that happens about these prescription drugs. So this boy thought that his mother is going to die because his mother has cancer, and whatever patches she had, she was given by the doctors for her managing her pain. The boy was occasionally stealing from his mother, and not only was he stealing from his mother, before she fell asleep, he would go to her room to console her, and then he would steal from her room, and the medications that he would then sell off out in the streets for some profit. And if not profit, he said he's got involved with some shady characters, because of which he is doing this. Now, the older brother, when he discovered this about the younger brother, he found out all these things, that his brother is involved in shady activities. And then he tried to tell his brother to stop doing it. He tried to kick out his brother, but their mother intervened. And his brother also tried to, in a future date, go and after being kicked out, also, he again came back into the house and tried to steal electronics and jewelry which he could sell outside, so that he could make some money from it for the people he owed money to. So why was this happening to him? The older brother found out that his brother has a gambling habit. His brother also shows these negative traits of being very much addicted to things at home life as well. He eats midnight snacks, he can't stop, being a little gluttonous. It's not mentioned explicitly, but gluttony and gambling and addictions go hand in hand. So if you have one of these, they are the stepping stones to the other habits coming into your life eventually. If no one stopped you, if you didn't check yourself, and if you fail to hear the warning of the people who are trying to check you. Now, his mother's illness should have been a point where he should have checked himself from doing the negative activities, but instead his distorted thinking and perception about life was that because his mother is likely going to die from cancer, and because he is in trouble, he might as well try to save himself by doing these illicit activities. So for him it was justifiable to sell his mother's medications, and it was justifiable later on to try stealing his brother and mother's properties, so that he can go and gain money from it. Because he was having a gambling addiction, he was likely also having some other possible addictions as well. Because again, it's all a gateway. If you have food addiction, it starts with food addiction. If you don't stop or understand how to deal with your food addiction, it goes to possibly gambling and stealing, and then from that it can also escalate into drug addiction, selling of drugs in the streets, and other darker parts of choice in life. Now, here in the background story, we also realize that the mother asks the older brother to forgive this brother Jake, and the mother tells that forgive Jake, and the reason she gives is because when these kids were young, Jake was 3 years old and the older brother was 5 years old. At that time, their father was kicked out of the house, and the reason she kicked out the father was because the father also had a gambling addiction, and she didn't want an addiction prone father to raise her children. That's why she kicked them out. And but she never revealed to the family, and she protected her sons by not revealing why the father left them and never came back. And now this, by hiding the truth, she has done a great disservice to her kids. Her kicking a husband who's toxic out of their life was not necessarily a bad decision and a choice. And when they were younger, it was okay of her to protect them from the truth when they were not in their teens or adulthood. But when they are reaching their teens, they are developing maturity about what is right and wrong in life. At that time, it was necessary that she should have actually let the father also keep in touch with the kids, in order for them to see what a life can manifest if a person is in a perpetual phase of gambling or other addictive phases, so that they could have learned then what is the negative consequence of these behavioral patterns. Otherwise, or if not, what is a negative consequence after having gone through negative consequences? If say 10 years down the line the father had improved his life, changed his life, and learned how to manage his addiction, him coming back into their life would have helped them that way as well. Because if you are growing up with one less parent, there is always going to be stress in your family life. There will be financial stress, there will be emotional stress, because only one parent is constantly fighting to do two parents' jobs. So naturally that stress of the parent will also come into the kids. And Jake, having both his mother's genes and father's genes, he had the mother's genes of the stress that the mother is experiencing when she is doing both parents' jobs. And he's got the father's genes of not being able to handle stress by consuming food and doing gambling and other things, because he wants to get rich quick. That is the reason why he likely went into the gambling journey. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. He might have seen his mother struggle with finances, and he decided he doesn't want to struggle so much. But people don't understand, and this is where the slightly negative pain of life, people want to push away. Instead, they want to continue pushing the slight negative things that are meant to push us, drive us, motivate us towards doing better in life, becoming better in life, evolving better in life. Those same circumstances that was likely driving the older son to do the right things in life, learn the right life lessons from his mother. Some of the right life lessons. I can't say he learned every right lesson from his mother. But whatever was driving the first boy to become more ethical or hardworking was the same thing driving the younger boy to do absolutely the opposite. Because both of them have both their parents' genes, but one might be getting influenced by one parent more than the other. And the other's absence is also kind of resulting in Jake behaving the way he behaves. Because if the other parent had indeed lived with them or had been in some kind of contact with them, both his negative, positive, or neutral life pathways would have influenced Jake to think a little bit better, reflect a little bit more about the consequence of the choices he was making in his life. He had no one to show him the consequence. He failed to understand that this pathway that he's going, he was in a rolling away pathway. He kept rolling down and down and down with no negative factor to stop him. There was a negative factor of his mother's stress, which stopped the older boy from doing bad things. But the younger boy, that stress of his mother was not enough. So if instead the mother had revealed that the father's gambling had is causing all these problems, and now she has to single parent them, would he have checked himself there? Maybe, maybe not. That is again up to Jake's karma, Jake's life lesson learning capacity, Jake's ability to understand, and his maturity that he develops in himself. But if the mother never reveals to either of the son the past history, which now she was forced to reveal before she was dying, but if her death hadn't happened, if Jake hadn't stolen, she would never have revealed this past history. And this past history is important both to Jake and Jake's older brother, because both of them, even now, this gambling addiction related genes that are there in their blood can get triggered in the next generation too. So that's why it's important to stay in touch, also forgive. Like the brother eventually forgave Jake, but he didn't forgive him enough to keep contact again with Jake. But he should have. If he keeps contact with Jake, he would at least see the negative consequences of what is happening to Jake. And every time he's feeling disapproving towards Jake or angry towards Jake, it is important for Jake to face that anger, face that disapproval. Why? Because something has to wake up Jake. Now if his mother's father leaving them is not waking him up, the story that his father was also a gambler is not waking him up, the fact that his mother was dying was not waking him up, the fact that his brother has kicked him out of the house is not waking him up, the fact that he got jailed didn't wake him up, the fact that he in jail he was also beaten by some people and then he got hospitalized, if that is also not giving him a wake up call to deter from this dark path that he's choosing in his life, what will wake him up? The universe has to continue giving him signals and signs and chances to wake him up, because in Bible or in Hinduism, everywhere it says that anyone who's doing a crime, also in Hinduism it says, there was a story of Shishupal. When Shishupal was doing cruelty towards others, he got 100 chances after 100 crimes that he has committed against humans. That's when Krishna, the god whose avatar on earth, who had come to bring some justice on earth, had to kill him. So until and it's not that God makes these decisions of death, decisions of cruelty on someone very easily, but some people just do not seem to wake up unless some jarring thing happens in their life. So multiple jarring things have happened already in Jake's life to stop him from this momentum, and that stopping momentum is not working on Jake. Why? Because there are some personality types who have been encouraged and enabled and forgiven too many times throughout lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and they also have this blinding capacity to literally see no evil when they are doing any evil. Now these are the problems with these people, those who take the see no evil thing into a very different out of context antisocial behavioral pattern, where for them they are unable to see the evil they are doing in their life. Even if someone is disapproving them, like his brother was, even if his mother was dying and sad about it, even though he knew he was grieving his mother, all he could do was he is providing her a false sense of security that you will be okay. And while he's saying all these beautiful words to his mother, or he's just completely betrayal laced towards his mother when he is taking away all her pain medication. And that sense of betrayal for on behalf of his mother, even the mother was too weak at that time and she's dying, so she can't even have the energy to even show her betrayal. If the mother was if the mother was healthy, she would have been as pissed off, or slightly more healthier than she was. She would have been as pissed off with Jake as she was with his father, and she would have again done some similar things that the older son did, that the mother couldn't do, because he's doing it in behalf of his mother as well as on behalf of his own safety and security. That people need to understand, when you are leading life with other humans, when you've been given a mother, when you've given a brother, when you've been given a family life, instead of focusing on your mother, brother, family life, or even when he found out that his dad was a gambler and he could try to find his dad also, right? Instead of focusing so much on the older brother who's not forgiving him, he could try to search for his father too. Why isn't he doing that? These are and like this, karma works, destiny point works in people's lives, forgiveness works in people's lives, and awakening from going out of the path of sin also works for anyone's life. But when people have decided, or they have continuously just propagated within their soul and within their energy and within their mindset that they don't want to take accountability for any mistakes that they are doing in life, that is when they keep going down this dark path. Because if Jake really wants forgiveness from his older brother, his writing is as meaningless, and his brother also, that's why it took a while to forgive him and write back to him, because that writing, his words are meaningless. A person who is saying sweet words to the mother and then stealing the mother's medicine, can that person's words be trusted, or should that person's words, written or verbal, be trusted? No, you cannot trust a person like that, because true change for a person like that, who is truly remorseful that he has done what he has done, would be when he will show up in his brother's life as a completely non-gambling person, or a person who's managing his gambling addictions the right way by taking the right resources, who decides that he's not going to work with these nefarious influences. If not that, something that shows slowly. There are many paths again for Jake also to realize how to improve his life and become a different version than what he was before. That is the only way he can actually truly show that he has changed, and his forgiveness, asking for forgiveness, has a valuable, realistic, materialistic and karmic meaning for his mother who has already passed away, and for the brother who is still living, and potentially even for the father who might, after having done gambling, might have realized what is the wrongs of it. So if he tries to even find that father, because there was definitely in Jake, you have to understand, Jake had a wound. He had a father wound of an absentee father, he had a mother wound of a busy mother. So this busy mother and absentee father means he has this deep wound in his soul, which he is trying to fulfill with eating and gambling and quickly getting rich. But that quickly getting rich also, why is it happening to him? Because he doesn't want the hard struggles of a life on earth. But that is not what life on earth is. Life on earth is going to be filled with some hard struggles, some easy things. And the reason why Jake in this life is experiencing such hardships is because in a past life he likely completely avoided facing any hardships. He didn't take any accountability for his actions. That's why in this life he's getting also physically beaten up for his actions, jailed for his actions, mistreated for his actions. But did he attract that to himself because of what he has done in a different lifetime? And also, if he thinks that he doesn't, if you don't believe that Jake has any past life, this is his one and only life, then also has he attracted trouble in his own life based on his own karmic choices and distorted thought processes that makes him justify stealing from a woman who is dying? If he really needed that money, could he have waited for his mother to die and then get her money? Until the time she needs the money, should he have waited? Until the time she needs the meds, should he have waited? Is his gambling that important versus his mother's pain? So this is the reason why Jake has become the way he is, and he's going to continue facing bad and negative things and forces in his life. And if he dies one fine day in the jail because of all his sweet talking, is not going to get him out of trouble in the jail. Once he dies, again in the next life, his life will be 10 times harder than what it was in this life, because in this life he didn't even value the brother and mother that he already had, and didn't think about their safety, their security. Because whatever he is doing has a consequence for them also. If he had continued through this gambling addiction and gone into drug addiction or something, now then drugging, and not just the gambling mafia but the drug mafia and other people would also come get attracted to that family. And if his mother had not been sick, let's say she recovers from the cancer, then their life is also at stake. They are also now going to be hurt, or other problems could crop up even in their life. And Jake's brother did absolutely right thing, because Jake is not willing to listen to change. If Jake was willing to listen to change, his brother wouldn't have to resort to this no contact situation with his brother. It was important for his brother, because if the brother wants to have a future life where he wants a family life, he wants to have children, he wants to raise good kids, if he has those inner soul desires, can he continue being with a gambler who will attract more and more perverted people, greedy people, really filled with sin people in his life? Even if Jake may not be completely immersed in sin, let's say Jake is only in the beginning stages of sin, but the path he has chosen, everyone else in that path will be immersed in sin. So will they get a good family life? Will Jake's brother have any potential to have a good family life if his brother continues down this path and is not ready to face the consequences? Him getting jailed was the best thing that could have happened, but if he doesn't even understand after getting jailed that where he's pushing the boundaries, how he's pushing the boundaries to his own safety, and Jake also doesn't have the understanding of safety, that's why he keeps choosing the unsafe path in life. And when his brother, he was given a brother who's stricter, he was given a mother who's softer, also who's stricter and protective of him, because he was meant to learn about safety from these parent and family as well, but he didn't learn it. So he has to naturally learn it from the darker mistakes he will keep making in this life, or if he dies, it's going to be next life. And for some people like Jake, if they continue, they've had multiple lifetimes where they have kept making these mistakes. Some of those people karmically will not even continue on earth anymore. They have lost the privilege of being a conscious human with capacity to discern what is good and bad, because he's lost his capacity to discern. If he continues in a next life, in this life, let's say he dies after 10 years of doing all this gambling shit, and someone kills him or whatever, he gets jailed and gets punished and gets capital punishment for something, and he dies. Whatever happens to him, he is dead. Next life, he decides he will improve, and he tells God, after God shows him what, because after you die, you are shown what you did wrong, and you have to relive some of those similar karma again. Next life, you will have to have maybe 3 gamble prone kids that you have to help at least, in order for you to clear the karma of the first life. But again, in the next life, if he meets other gambling prone kids, instead of becoming like Jake's older brother trying to help those gambling prone kids, he again joins those kids into gambling. Instead of helping them, he again becomes a gambler. Again, he's continuously attracting negative karma, failing to learn the life lessons. And also, he has likely a avoidant personality type, where he's constantly avoiding the impact of the negative in his life, because that is also what people like Jake do. They have this capacity, and I have met people like Jake, they have the capacity that if anytime someone tells them, hey, what you're doing is wrong, they live in denial. I can't possibly be that wrong. That's fine. It's okay to have the initial resistance to seeing yourself as a bad guy in someone else's life, but you shouldn't have a constant resistance to seeing yourself being a bad guy in someone else's life. Sometimes you have to accept that you will not be the good guy in someone else's life, especially if you don't have that realization, you will not realize right later on how to change yourself. If Jake never realizes that he was the villain in his mother and brother's life, and he was causing them pain and agony and trauma, and he keeps looking at, he is giving them this contrite look because he is feeling betrayed when his brother calls the cops. Now all these things, when his brother is calling the cops, or his mom is discovering his transgressions, at that time he is looking a very innocent soul or feeling very betrayed. But is it a true betrayal or is it a false betrayal? That is a false betrayal, because his as a part of the karmic consequence of what he has done, he will naturally face what he is meant to face. So that is not really a real betrayal to Jake. That is not a betrayal to Jake, because if he doesn't get his brother, doesn't call the cops in the right time, Jake would die 10 years sooner. The beating that he got in the jail after a few years of been in jail, or few months of being in jail, that same beating would have been in the jail, because it's a restrictive setting. They wouldn't have beaten him as badly as someone has the freedom to beat him outside when he is gambling and hanging with the mafia, and some mafia person comes and beats him up, and he wouldn't even have got into a hospital too. In the jail, at least he went to the hospital. If he was beaten up in the same level on the streets also, even if not greater level, if in the streets he was beaten in the same level, there would be no one to take him to the hospital. Another thing, if he steals, he doesn't see. This is the foolishness of these people. They don't see. He's taking away all the electronic goods, jewelry, everything from his mother and brother. How are they going to live after the mother dies? They both know the mother is going to die, and instead of becoming his support system for his brother, Jake is going the opposite way, only thinking me, myself, and not thinking about his brother at all. And you can't be doing I, me, myself when you already had a stable home life. If he didn't have a stable home life, God can still forgive him a little bit sooner if he was just living on the streets and he didn't have a home life, he didn't have a caring mother, he didn't have a mother who had insurance, he didn't have a mother who was cooking for him, who's getting the groceries for him. All these things he devalued, because he devalued and disrespected the food that his mother is talking in the kitchen, the brother is buying for him when the mother is sick. Who is doing it? And if Jake was supposed to wake up and take those responsibilities too, but he decided to take those responsibilities by deciding that the root cause of his problem is money, when the root cause of the problem was not money. Root cause of his problem is lack of understanding of love, and lack of understanding of that even with less money and financial barriers, you can still have a good quality life if you stop focusing on just the money aspect, and also remember that life is not simply about money, but it is about money and other aspects of life as well, which is what Jake was failing to do, and that's why his brother was getting angrier and angrier with him. And that is Jake's karma. Now there is another kid like Jake whose story I'll present in another video. In that video, there is a sister who's having a party for her 5-year-old daughter, and when she's having a party for her 5-year-old daughter, her other sister's son also is there in the party. Her sister is older to her, and her sister, being older, has an older child, and her sister had taken actually 10 years before she could conceive. So because it had been a 10-year struggle for her before she conceived the child, she doesn't hold right boundaries. She's another kind of protective mother like Jake's mother had been. If Jake had been given a tight slap the day he started gambling, or his mother had realized that her money and other things were getting stolen from him, if he had gotten, because his mother was realizing the medicines were getting stolen, but he kept trying to convince his mom that the medicine were getting misplaced. So he was playing manipulative mind games with his sick mother as well. So he gets that karma as well. So this Jake like child, let's say he's born in another lifetime to this other mom. Now this other mom, because he was born after 10 years of struggle, has spoiled the son completely. So when he comes to the birthday party of his cousin, in that birthday party, first he doesn't socialize with the other kids, and it's possible that he doesn't socialize maybe because he's 5-6 years older to his cousin. So other children who are at the party might be younger, so he might be having harder time blending in with the younger 5-6 years younger kids. So that could be one reason he might not be blending with other kids in the party and playing with them. Then second, he didn't play with them. Then he refused to eat whatever food was there. That is also a valid reason for a child to also not eat food, because say you have food allergies or you have particular food taste, and whatever food was ordered is not to your taste, possible that you may not eat. But then the worst thing happened. He not only didn't want to eat, he not only didn't want to play and mix and mingle with others, he actively then decided to destroy the birthday party cake. And luckily people saw that he was trying to destroy the cake, then he was stopped, but his mother was not ready to stop him. All his mother said was, don't do this. She was not actively trying to create any kind of boundary setting, any kind of strictness, any kind of repercussion as a result of like a timeout like thing could have been done with the kid. Nothing she did with that kid who was being disrespectful to so many. So naturally the aunt who was keeping this birthday party for her daughter got upset, and she said certain things to her sister. And when she said some really stark home truths to her sister, this mother of the child whose birthday was there, she is getting chastised by the rest of the family that you should give your older sister a break. You haven't walked her journey of the 10 years that she couldn't conceive. And it's true that she hasn't walked the 10-year person's journey, but her sister has walked the journey of being a mother to a younger child whose birthday party other people attend. So her sister knows what is appropriate and inappropriate behavior at a party. Both of them, all of them being children of the same family, they have themselves had birthday parties, so they know what is appropriate behavior, inappropriate behavior in a party. So there's nothing wrong in the younger sister calling out the older sister if a child is being uh, deliberately antisocial personality like. And this is the same Jake like child only who is doing this antisocial behavior, because he gets away easily with doing antisocial behavior. Everyone, if Jake also, like say this Jake story, in that Jake story, the mother had other siblings, and say these two brothers and mother were hanging out with their uncles and aunts, there Jake would have possibly been that kind of a difficult child where he's making mischief, doing mischief, and everyone lets him get away with it, thinking that his father has left him, he has a hard life, so people give him a pass. But this is where you have to decide, until when do you give a pass to someone? Until when, if you continue giving pass, you are actually becoming an enabler of an antisocial personality who will, now this boy, if he never gets chastised by his mother, and if the entire family continues to only scold the younger sister for standing up for her daughter's rights, because her daughter had every right to have a good party. And if a person can't train their children how to behave in a party, it's okay, you don't have absolute control in your child, that no one can have. But if you also don't have that influence in your child, and in the child also, children understand this very well, they are very smart, so they understand which parent will be stricter with them and with whom you can't, like, do all this nonsense, and which parent is the kind with whom you can continue doing the nonsense. So his mother, being having had the 10-year struggle, always feels deterred from disciplining her child. So because she's not disciplining the child, because of her own emotional issues surrounding the child's birth, the child is now 10 years old. So if she had this attitude when the child was 5 years old, people can understand, should understand. But by the time the child is 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, if you continue holding that toxic belief system and you have not let go of the struggle you had for 10 years, because God has given you 10 years to let go of the struggle of the 10 years. That 10-year timeline has passed, and that's why she has to wake up, and her sister is doing the right thing, even though it seems like a criticism. The younger sister was not really criticizing her in a way that is meant to be hurtful, or in a way that is, even if it is hurtful, that hurt is needed by this older sister to wake up to where she's going wrong. If she doesn't want an antisocial child to be continuing like this, her child has very much the potential to become a Jake-like person with gambling addiction, drug addiction, sex addiction, manipulating people, sleeping with people, doing all kinds of all the sins of the world that humans and religions talk about, the sins that make life miserable for multiple other people. So the mother, in failing to acknowledge that her misery and not healing from her misery of a struggle, like yes, she could have struggled with miscarriages and 3 babies could have died, and she still grieves those babies, but you're doing injustice to not just those babies, who died. There was a reason those babies died. They didn't want to be become they also people actually before they are born, souls have a opportunity to see what kind of life they will have when they choose a particular parent. So those children didn't want to become spoiled kids, so they didn't want to become spoiled kids, so naturally they are not going to get birthed only. They decided that their soul contract is to just give a miscarriage and leave. The mother having miscarriage also has many reasons. She could have had miscarriage because she is living in a particular place where the environmental conditions are such a healthy baby can't be born. That's why she prayed to God so much, she got a baby, but she has got a unhealthy baby only, a mentally unhealthy baby who's becoming socially unhealthy the more his distorted tendencies, because these distorted things are mental, a kind of mental illness. This child, if he continues, if he goes and hurts another person deliberately, like how he wanted to destroy the cake deliberately, if his mother never chastises him for these small crimes, small things, thinking he's just a kid with a lot of energy or high spirited, if he continues thinking like that, eventually one day the child who's capable of destroying someone else's birthday cake is also capable of destroying someone else, is also capable of killing someone else, is also got, because this is the path he's trajectory he's going towards, which again can't be stopped unless people like this aunt are ready to check him. Like how Jake's brother was ready to check him, here the aunt is ready to check this child. But if the aunt is now villainized by the entire family and people stop contacting the aunt, it is not going to cause problem in the aunt's life. How much ever they decide to discipline the aunt, the younger aunt, nothing will happen to her. She is doing the right thing. But what will in turn happen is all of these people will be karmically involved in this young 10-year-old boy's karma now, by continuously enabling his abusive behavioral patterns and forgiving him for his abuse, like antisocial personality, like and other negative behavioral patterns related tendencies. So, and they also will gather negative karma as a result of enabling this 10-year-old boy eventually in their life, because when they don't understand the pain that the younger sister went through or the younger niece went through when her birthday was getting ruined by someone else, you think these people who are now chastising, when they do these kind of antisocial, and they might be defending the boy because they also might have antisocial personality traits, they also might not like, they don't have that generosity of heart to celebrate a young niece's birthday or something, or they could have had a hard life when what this mom was doing for her child, they were having jealousy towards the mom doing this to her 5-year-old child, and that's why they are defending the child who wanted to destroy the birthday cake. There's a reason, there's always a karmic reason when you are defending something wrong. That means you are aligning with the wrong person's mindset. So either you also have this toxic tendency to hold on to some pain of your life for 10 years, even when the pain has gone. You have been given a child now, to after going through the pain you got a deserving child, but in order for you to deserve the child that you got, you have to also teach the child the right things. God might have also known that this woman, if she gets a child, how much ever she gets a child, she will continue spoiling that child only, even if she had got the child 5 years sooner. So God was just giving her a chance to improve herself, and one day when she was maybe possibly improved, God decided, okay, let's give her the child she wants. But after she has got that child she wants, a child is not simply just a inner egoic desire of showing to society I have a child. That is not what a child is about. A child is also about teaching the child certain things and teaching the child the value systems that you have learned. And if you haven't learned those value systems, you can't teach it to your child. If you don't clear the jealousy inside you, if all these other adults who are supporting the child doesn't clear jealousy or other reasons why they were hating this party and are hating on this younger sister for speaking the truth, if you can't be authentic, will you ever have an authentic life experience, or will you also have painful life experiences that whatever you enabled and supported, eventually in their life that same person like this antisocial personality child will show up in their life. life and do something to them when they are in their 40s or 50s or 60s, where a child like this who has been enabled and continuously enabled into gambling and drinking and cheating and lying and manipulating, such a manipulator will show up in their life and steal their money, and then they'll be like, what did I do? What did you do? You had supported a child, a manipulative child at 10 years of age, and you continued supporting a manipulative child from 10 years to 30 years of age. So in order for you to show the consequence of what you failed to check when he was 10, that was the right age to check him. Because the more you check him, teach him in the right ways, what is good appropriate behavior, what is inappropriate behavior. Every single person in that party had a choice that day to do something different or learn something at least from this antisocial personality child. But if you don't learn it from that child, if you continue encouraging the bad behavior of that child, a person 10 times worse than that child will show up in your life to show you your karma. Because this is how karma works. People don't understand it, but that is how it works. Either a 10 times worse than this child will show up in their life, if not 10 times worse, 5 times worse, 5 different people will show up who is exactly like this child to try to wake them up to where they fail to be a human. Because being human simply doesn't mean, oh, I see your pain. It is also that after you have lived through your pain, understanding that your pain's time limit is there. For 5 years you can hold on to this pain of having miscarriages or having had a difficult pregnancy, but after the 5 years, if you're continuously holding on to the pain, that and you're not slowly letting go of the painful experiences associated with your past memories, and you're not learning the right emotional detachment related issues as well, that is a problem zone of life. And all these people who are antisocial personality, narcissistic personality, people who are prone into gambling addiction, these all people have this little bit of social and mental illnesses and emotional health related illnesses. Like, they don't understand that right emotional balance, right social balance, right relational and psychological balance with another human being is created not simply when you are just having fun in life or want the exactly the perfect life that you want or exactly the things that you want in your life, but the right balance happens when you learn how to merge lives with each other. The right balance happens when someone is doing something good, you appreciate the good that they are doing. The right balance also happens when someone is doing something bad, you call out on the negative thing that is happening as well and try to rearrange the whatever is the negative thing that is manifesting. You have to learn how to shift it in the right way. And when one person is protesting, all of them now, okay, you want to be fair to the older sister and not say bitter words to her, then slowly train the older sister also to shift her perspective about how to raise her son the right way. Right, that is the right way to handle the situation, and not simply just dump everything and make the younger sister the villain, when the villain is actually the mother who is unable to mother, and all the other family. Not the 10-year-old boy is also not right now the villain. He will become a villain when he reaches Jake's age. At that time he will do all these continue doing the bad choices that no one checked him for when he was younger. But until he reaches the Jake's age, this 10-year-old child is not the villain. The villain is all the people who are ready to enable his bad behavior, all the people who are unwilling to teach him what is better behavior, all the people who are unwilling to teach the mother when she is being toxic by not letting go of the pain of 10-20 years back, a pain that she had in her life prior to this 10-year child being born. And after the 10-year child being born also, instead of focusing on the 10-year-old child and making sure he gets to be as good a human being as possible, he could still turn out to be a negative human being. But if the mother had done all the things that she was supposed to do to teach him to become a better human being, it detracts from her bad karma. But if mother continues enabling his bad behavior, he will become a bad or socially ill-reputed individual, or socially malfunctioning individual, or antisocial personality, or a dysfunctional personality sooner than he'll be later. The more, so that's why, right, checks and balances are always required in life. Life is not simply about looking at the positives of life. You have to see the negative, acknowledge the negative, understand where the negative has to end, understand where the negative behavioral patterns slowly have to be shifted. All these things are equally a part of leading life on earth for every human being. So I hope this made sense, and if you have any questions or comments, please drop a comment or a like. Thank you.